Hello and welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another video. This one is my team selection for game week 13. Got a few things to cover in this one, so going to go over my game week 12 team briefly, then going to have a look at how I'm set up for game week 13 and talk about my future moves and future plans for my team, but also going to go over the forwards in FPL at the moment. So I know that quite a few people will be looking to be buying a forward this week, so going to have a bit of an analysis on a few of the different forward options. But for now, let's go over my game week 12 team. Another pretty good week, another green arrow. I was at 492k and it was a green arrow up to 314k. Game week rank of just under a million, 70 points. Goalkeepers was slightly annoying. Verbruggen was on for a clean sheet and a 9-pointer right up until the last few minutes, so that's a bit frustrating. Nuri and Anderson, I wasn't really expecting much from them. I had to play Cunha and Raul as well because I didn't think that Garnacho was going to start, albeit I got that wrong. But I wasn't expecting much from Nuri and Anderson given I was starting strikers from the other teams. And I didn't get much from them, which is fine. Dalot, another kind of disappointing one really. He started, which is good, but I don't think he was great. And obviously United conceded, so not ideal. And Bomo hasn't been great for a few games now. Going to obviously keep him this week because of the fixture, but potentially looking to move him on soon, which we'll talk about in a minute. Bruno Fernandes, this is one of his good fixtures, so slightly disappointing that he didn't get anything and United weren't the best, but I'll obviously be keeping him. Again, similar situation to Mbomo, whereby I will be keeping him for this week because it's a great fixture, but potentially looking to move him on the week after. Went with Salah captain, which I don't really think I was ever looking elsewhere for Salah. I mean, Palmer was potentially an option, but I think I was always pretty set on Salah, and that paid off nicely. Palmer, again, didn't get anything, but I had Jackson in the team, so that game went pretty well for me. Cunha, obviously, is going absolutely nowhere. We'll talk about him and Jackson a bit more when I talk through the forwards later in the video and analyse those a little bit, because there's a forward that's being forgotten a little bit, which I want to talk about. But yeah, also Raul with 2 points. He obviously had that horrendous miss. Kind of missed an open goal from a couple of yards out. Really frustrating because that would have been nice, as I don't think he's that high owned. None of the three are particularly high owned. Well, Cunha probably will be now, but wasn't at the time. Obviously bench Fabianski, which I was never planning on playing him, so I'm not fussed about that. Then Garnacho, Lewis, Trent. I decided to keep Trent rather than doing Trent to Gabriel. Kind of glad I did that now because it seems like Trent's fit. But let's get on to how my team's lining up for this week. Okay, so I've got Verbruggen in goal, obviously. Southampton at home, perfect fixture. Fabianski has Arsenal at home, so definitely won't be playing him. Then in defence, my defence is a bit ropey at the moment, if I'm honest. Anderson, obviously last on the bench, he's got Tottenham away. If it comes to needing him, then that's fine, but it's obviously a terrible fixture. Tottenham are one of the two best attacks in the league, along with Liverpool, which is who Lewis plays. So I don't want to have to play either of those, which is why they're on the bench. And I don't think I'll need to be honest. Nuri, I'm pretty certain he'll play. He's got Bournemouth at home, good fixture. Trent Alexander-Arnold, we have got a bit of information that he looks set to play the Man City game, which is good news. I thought that was always going to be the case. I thought that he'd miss Southampton and then either play Real Madrid or be ready for City. It also seems like Conor Bradley picked up an injury in that Real Madrid game, so Trent's minutes should be pretty good going forward if he's fit, which it seems like he is. So I'm glad I held on to him in the end. I knew I'd want him back if I sold him, so I'm glad I just held on to him. Dalot obviously has a good fixture with Everton at home, but with most United players at the moment, it's tough to know who's going to start. I'm hoping that Dalot will start at either that left wing back or the right wing back role, which could see him get forward quite a lot. obviously Amorim likes to attack with the wing backs and the front three. So if he starts, it looks good. Obviously Ahmad got the assist against Ipswich, but I'm presuming that they were both pretty high up. Ahmad had a great game by the sounds of things. But yeah, just hoping that all three of these play, because if all three of these play, then the defence is fine. If I need Lewis or Anderson, then the defence isn't fine. But I highly doubt I'll make a move anyway, because we won't know if Trent or Dalot are playing before the deadline. So yeah, anyway, on to the midfielders. Right, so this is where it gets interesting. So I've obviously got Salah with Man City at home. I'm obviously playing him, not thinking of transferring him out, of course. Probably not thinking of captaining him though either, because I've got two other very good captains the other side of the midfield, which I'll talk about in a minute. Bruno Fernandes is another one who, it's a great fixture. He's one of the only Man United players that we can be quite sure he'll play. Not 100% sure, of course, but quite sure he'll play. So again, he's all good. Garnacho is... I'll talk about Garnacho in a second, actually. Palmer and Mbommo. Obviously, both fantastic. I am genuinely 50-50 on who I captain at the moment. It will most likely be one of them too, but I'm not sure which one. I did a captaincy video earlier in the week, which had Palmer top and Mbommo second, but there really wasn't much in it. It was very, very close. And I do think this is a week where you can go a bit different. So I don't even mind the likes of... Well, Salah isn't different, obviously, but Salah's an option, Palmer's an option, and Mbommo's an option. Even someone like João Pedro's an option if you've got him. I don't hate Fernandes either as an option, although maybe slightly more risky. But yeah, I have no idea where I'm going to land on Palmer and Mbommo at the moment. It'll probably be one of them too. And then Garnacho. So this Garnacho kind of is... With my transfers this week, I basically, if I think Garnacho is going to start, then I will probably roll. But if I think Garnacho is going to be benched, then I will most likely make a transfer. So let's move on to the forwards where I can get into that a bit more. Okay, right. So obviously I've got Cunha, Bournemouth at home. Great fixture. He's playing incredible. Jackson, Aston Villa at home. Again, pretty good fixture. He's playing very well. Chelsea attack is brilliant. Then I've got Raul Jimenez on the bench with Tottenham away. So this is where it gets interesting. Basically, if I think Garnacho is going to be benched or isn't going to start, then my move would be Raul Jimenez to João Pedro, bench Garnacho, play João Pedro, 3-4-3. But if I think Garnacho is going to start, then I will probably just happily play Garnacho and leave Raul on the bench, not get João Pedro yet anyway. That's kind of my thinking at the moment. In terms of future transfer plans, I do have some thoughts in my head. So when I put this wild card together in game week 10, I knew that the Man United boys basically were only good for a 3-4 game week spell, and that ends this week. Their last good fixture is this week with Everton at home. And obviously I'm tripled up with Fernandes, Garnacho and Dalot. So my plan was to try and roll from wildcard 10 up until now if possible. And I've done that. I've got 3 free transfers in the bank at the moment. If I roll this week, I'll have 4. If I do Raul to João Pedro, then I'll have 3 next week. Either way, I've got enough to get rid of some of the United boys. I also potentially want to get rid of Mbommo. I don't feel like that's as much of a pressing issue. Yes, his numbers haven't been great recently, and the fixtures do turn a bit, but the next few are okay. So I'm in no immediate rush to do that. My plan at the moment, whether I do the Raul to João Pedro move or not, would be next week I can look at getting rid of Garnacho and Dalot and bringing in an Arsenal defender. It will probably have to be Timber, and then moving Garnacho down to Semenyo. Semenyo will have served his ban, obviously, and the 3 fixtures straight after this week are really good for Bournemouth and Semenyo. So, yeah, Garnacho to Semenyo, Dalot to Timber. If I can afford Gabriel, then I will do that, but I'm almost certain I can't. So it will be Timber in. Then the following week, or even the week after that, is where I kind of want Saka. I don't think I need Saka until game week 15-16. I'd like him now. but I don't think it's... I mean, next week Arsenal have got Man United, so I don't necessarily need to get him in. I can wait till the following week. But what that would mean is basically getting rid of Bruno Fernandes and Mbeumo to go Fernandes up to Saka and Mbeumo down to a cheap midfielder to generate the funds for that. I'm not set on that, to be honest. I may just want to keep Mbeumo and Fernandes, but again, that's a decision for down the line. These are kind of just loose plans at the moment. Either way, it doesn't really... Me doing Raul Jimenez to João Pedro this week or not doesn't really impact those moves. So that's where the team's at the moment. I'm 50-50 on captaincy, and whether Garnacho starts or not will be kind of a big thing as to whether I make that move or not. But one thing I did want to talk about, and I haven't talked about it in any previous videos properly, is the forwards at the moment. So going to do a bit of analysis on them, because I know that a lot of people are buying a forward this week. Some people are moving down from Haaland, some people are just moving from other forwards. So let's have a look and dive a bit deeper into some of the forwards. Right, so I've got the fixtures for 5 forwards on screen. The ones we're looking at are Alexander Isak, Nicholas Jackson, Matthias Cunha, João Pedro and Dominic Solanke. Now the first 4 are pretty obvious, they're all pretty popular at the moment. Dominic Solanke I think is being overlooked a little bit. Now my main reasoning for that is that firstly, Tottenham and Liverpool are the 2 best attacks in the league right now. So Solanke is a striker from one of the 2 best attacks in the league. The other team in Liverpool, we don't know who's going to play up top week on week. So you're getting a nailed 90-minute man in Solanke from one of the best attacks in the league. They've just played City, which turned out not to be a bad fixture, but on paper it was beforehand. So their fixtures now aren't too bad. Obviously they've got, as you can see on screen, Fulham at home, which is not bad. Bournemouth away, not bad. Chelsea at home. Chelsea defence isn't exactly elite, so I don't think that's bad. Southampton away, great fixture. Liverpool at home, tough. And then a few nice fixtures. So their fixtures really are a mixed bag, but I just think that quite a lot of other forwards, you're not getting the nailed 90-minute-ness as such. Like João Pedro, you're certainly not getting nailed 90 minutes. Jackson, Jackson's on 4 yellow cards, so he's going to miss a game soon. He could miss one of these really nice games. He actually probably will miss one of these really nice games. It wouldn't surprise me at all if Jackson gets a yellow card against Aston Villa, so that then he misses the Southampton away midweek game, because that would kind of keep to the Chelsea thing of playing weekend teams and midweek teams almost, although we haven't seen it in the Premier League. But it would not surprise me, if we saw Jackson get a yellow card this week so that he misses that game week 14 fixture. But anyway, Callum Wilson is coming back, which impacts Isak potentially. Maybe not. I mean, Isak is just brilliant, so he probably does just play all the games. But there is a slight chance that Wilson could take some minutes from him over this Christmas period. Cunha, we don't really have that issue with, granted, because Cunha probably will play most of the games. I'd be surprised if he didn't. He really is there, kind of everything goes through him. And even some of the other players like Chris Wood, we're seeing him get rotated a bit. Havertz, we're seeing him get rotated a bit. Raul Jimenez, I'm sure we'll see him get rotated a bit more. So with Solanke, you know you're getting that nailed 90 minutes. And the fixtures are a mixed bag, like I say. In terms of the other guys, so Alexander Isak, again, the fixtures, it's just that Liverpool home game that in game week 14, which is the bad one. The rest are brilliant. Crystal Palace away is fantastic. Brentford defence is poor, so I'm not sure why that's orange. That should probably be green. Leicester at home, Ipswich away, brilliant. Villa defence in the league doesn't seem to be all that great either. So the fixtures, and then those 3 from 21, 22, 23, the long-term fixtures are good for Isak, and you know what you're going to get from him. Nicholas Jackson as well. So this week's fixture is okay. Aston Villa. Southampton away is brilliant, albeit he could miss it. He could miss any one of these really, apart from the Aston Villa one. Tottenham away, I don't think Tottenham defence is all that, so I don't even hate that fixture. And then they've got this run of ridiculous green fixtures. Brentford, Everton, Fulham, Ipswich, Crystal Palace, Bournemouth and Wolves. Unbelievable fixtures. So you'll definitely want more than just Palmer for that game, for that run of games, sorry. Then you've got Cunha, who is up to 7 million now, I believe. This run of Wolves have had a great run of fixtures. They're in the middle of this great run that they started 4 game weeks ago. The last 4 game weeks are pretty good. I mean, in those 4 game weeks, he's got 16 points. He got 12 or 13 last week. He got 6 the week before, 9 the week before that. He's been cooking over the last 4 weeks. And these next 5 fixtures are better than those 4 were. Bournemouth at home, Everton away, West Ham away, Ipswich at home and Leicester away is an unbelievable run. So if you haven't got Cunha, then well worth looking at him. And then João Pedro is ridiculous value. He's like 5.6, 5.7 million now. Even if he gets up to around the 6 million mark, he is still incredible value. The managers said great things about him, about how he's a leader within the team, how important he is in the team. So, yeah, he's definitely not a 90-minute man. We know that. And his injury record isn't the best. But he will probably get early subs. But he probably is on penalties. Well, I'd almost say he's definitely on penalties when he's on the pitch. And again, these fixtures are a joke. Southampton at home, Fulham away is okay. Leicester, Palace, West Ham, Brentford, all unbelievable. So he is ridiculous value. That's the fixtures for these guys. Now we'll have a quick look at the underlying numbers for these guys and see which player is standing out on them. Okay, so the numbers are on screen now. All these numbers are per 90 fixtures, so keep that in mind when you're looking at these, because players like, well, mainly João Pedro, but sometimes Jackson as well, won't get 90 minutes, so aren't particularly comparable to the other guys, but just keep it in mind and you can kind of, adapt them to what minutes you think they'll get. All of these stats are from Fantasy Football Hub as well. So I've listed out XG, XA, goals, assists, shots on target, big chances and big chances created. And for me, I think probably the one guy that stands out more than anyone else is probably Isak, to be honest. I mean, XG-wise, 0.51. That is third in this list, just behind Jackson and Solanke. XA isn't the best, 0.1. I mean, João Pedro and Cunha have quite a bit more than that, but that's expected. They don't play like completely up top. Goals and assists is a difficult one because obviously there's a lot of variance in that. Goals and assists wise, João Pedro's numbers are a joke, but what we've got to remember with João Pedro is that the sample size is much smaller. He was out injured for a fair amount of time, so hasn't played as many games as some of these other guys. So, yeah, there's going to be a bit more kind of variance involved there. Shots, though. Shots per 90, he's definitely taking the most. Him and Cunha are taking over 3 shots per game. And shots on target. Weirdly, Jackson and Solanke are taking almost a shot less per game than Cunha and Isak. But shots on target per game, they're taking more. So Solanke and Jackson are kind of, I guess, taking better quality shots because they're taking more shots on target per game. And yeah, it looks like Isak's and Cunha's are kind of, I mean, we can guess this from Cunha. Cunha shoots from outside the box a lot. In the last few weeks, we've seen that that's worked out for him. He's scored screamers, like 2 or 3 of them. So that makes sense. Big chances wise, all of the kind of, 4 of them are pretty much the same, just above 1. Apart from Cunha, he's not getting big chances at all, which kind of reinforces the fact that he's scoring from like screamers, but which isn't really sustainable, granted. But even if he regresses a bit, his numbers or output will still be brilliant because he's performing at a ridiculous level at the moment, and the fixtures are there for it anyway. So big chances created, though. This is where Cunha and João Pedro come into it, which does make sense, given that Cunha isn't playing as a sole number 9. Strand Larsen's doing that. João Pedro is the same. Welbeck's playing as a number 9. They're playing not really much deeper, but they're playing a tiny bit deeper. So they will naturally be creating more as opposed to getting the big chances, although João Pedro is top for big chances as well. But again, João Pedro's numbers need to be taken with a bit of a pinch of salt, just because the sample size is much smaller. But yeah, I hope this helps if you are having to make the decision on which forward to get in. For me, as I mentioned earlier, it will be João Pedro if I get one. That is, I already own Cunha, I already own Jackson, and I can't afford Isak or Solanke in one move. So my hands are kind of tired really, but I'd probably pick João Pedro anyway, if I'm honest. If he's fit, he's just an absolute gold mine. So yeah, I hope these numbers help a bit. I hope that laying the fixtures out like that helps a bit. Isak kind of maybe stands out a little bit here, given the XG and the shots. Although, like I say, shots on target, Solanke and Jackson are better. So yeah, hope this helps a bit. If you've got any questions, do drop them in the comments. If you like the video, hit like, make sure you subscribe. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by Christmas. That would be pretty cool, given that I only started these videos at the start of the season. So to get to 1,000 subscribers by Christmas on my first season would be unbelievable. Thank you for all the support as always, and I will see you in the next one.